Hello, welcome back to Urban X Files. My name is Keith, and today's video is all about the pyramids of Giza. Now, I have to say, before I go into this story, I have actually been inside the pyramid myself. Me and my wife Steph went on holiday before we had kids, so in the early 2000s. We had went to Egypt. We used to be divers, so we used to go like scuba diving all over the place, and Egypt was one of the places we really wanted to go. And we got there and we'd done what we needed to do, and we decided we'd like come all the way to Egypt, so we'd like to go and see the pyramids. So we done signed up for a trip, and we went over to Cairo, and I have to say it's breathtaking. My initial idea of the pyramids was that they'd be out in the desert, and it's like surrounded by sand, which is true, but it's not so much out in the desert, because it's literally, as you are in the slums part of Cairo and driving through, as you literally come over the road, the pyramids are right in front of you. It's a crazy experience. So anyway, we took our walk around the pyramids. We even went inside the Great Pyramid, and it's unbelievable to see such a colossal building that was built thousands and thousands of years ago, and it's phenomenal. I did find what's strange is obviously Egypt, it's in the desert, so it's very hot, but the way the pyramids are designed, when we went inside the pyramid, you halfway up, and then you go through an entrance hole that they've made accessible for people to go in and out. So we managed to go all the way down into the pyramid, had a little look around, and then it's quite claustrophobic as you go into the pyramids and walk down. You've got like a rope to help you guide down. So one side's on the left is for people who are going down, and the right side is for people going up. And they've also got little spaces made because a lot of people are unable to continue the way inside because of the claustrophobia and the heat. And it was that hot inside. When we come back out and went into the desert, it was actually cool, as in cooler, to get back outside because it was that stuffy. The ancient Egyptians believed that after the mortal death, the soul or the spirit would continue life in another dimension, and they buried their pharaoh kings, who they regarded as living gods, with all their treasures and objects needed to survive in comfort in the afterlife. They also embalmed their bodies to ensure that their mortal remains would be mummified and preserved for whatever fate awaited them. And it was done in such a way that even now they do not know 100% how they were able to preserve the mummies in such fantastic conditions, to where they still have tissue on them. They've still got their hair and nails. It's phenomenal. So, crucially, they were built impressive burial structures to demonstrate that the dead person's importance and to aid their ascendance into the next dimension of the heavens. The most famous, enigmatic of these buildings are, in fact, as we've just discussed, the pyramids of Giza. The Great Pyramid is the biggest and mysterious of them all. There are many people who question whether the structure really is just a simple, massive, gigantic tomb, or whether the design of the pyramids holds one of the greatest secrets of the ancient civilization, because there are links and documented proof of the pyramids that align with the stars. It's amazing to actually to look at, and to think that these pyramids had been erected somewhere between nearly 3000 BC and 2000 BC, and they were first built by King Giza in Sakwa near Memphis. Although the structure was created with 6-stepped tiers and is technically not a pyramid as such, but it was the first building designed exclusively to house the property and the remains of the king. The following centuries after King Seneferu built his own trio of pyramids, one at a medium that was called the False Pyramid because it was abandoned mid-project due to structural weakness, and another one at Dashur that was known as the Bent Pyramid because of another design problem, which meant the gradient of its sides had to be reduced as it was being built. Then the final one, which is called the Northern Pyramid of Seneferu, was built close to the Bent Pyramid and is now recognized as the first true pyramid. The most impressive structure was completed around 2500 BC for King Cheops at the site in Giza, 10 miles south of the city, which we now know is Cairo. They used an estimated 4,000 builders and tens of thousands more manual laborers, and the Great Pyramid stands at over 480 feet high, and it is believed to have taken over 30 years to quarry and construct the I think there's something like 500,000 blocks of limestone, which weigh in a total of an unbelievable 6 million tons. The base of the pyramid covers an area just over 30 acres, so you can imagine how big it is. Now, there's also a common belief that the pyramids were built by slaves, but there is now evidence which sort of disputes that. The pyramid was built by experienced builders, as we've just mentioned, and many manual laborers. And it says now that the evidence they've got is these builders were heavily rewarded for their efforts in constructing the pyramids, and it wasn't as you've seen in the films where they've got whips and they're whipping them and chaining them and making them construct it. It is believed that they were paid well for their efforts. So the main thing is we'll never know unless we can find a time machine or there's someone who's 4,000 years old who can tell us how they done what they done, because it's remarkable to see such a structure like that was built and designed with no computer aided technology. So it just blows my mind that this was precisionally built through someone's visual. I just can't explain it. It's just phenomenal how they were able to lift these huge, colossal limestone blocks and line them up perfectly. There are many fascinating aspects of the Great Pyramid's design. Its sides run perfectly north to south and east to west to within a tenth of a degree. The base is an almost exact square with an error margin of just 7 inches, whilst the pavement around the structure is level to within an inch. Now, unlike other pyramids, this one houses a great number of chambers, and it has plenty of corridors, with some that are over 345 feet long, and they ascending passageways that run directly north. It had been widely assumed that the pyramid stood as a great monument to hold the body and the treasures of King Cheops. Although when the structure was first opened by Caliph Abdullah al-Rahman in AD 820, nothing was found inside. Al-Mamun discovered the king's chamber blocked by 3 huge granite plugs, which he and his men circumvented. But when they arrived in the great room, this simply stood an empty stone sarcophagus. The mystery of what happened to the pyramid after its completion, if it's assumed the use is correct, has continued even to this day. In the absence of any real evidence of any burial ceremonies in the structure, there are many fantastic theories which have now come to light. Some people believed it was built by God either as a stone version of the Bible or as a record containing references to all events past, present, and future. They believe that the various passageways represent historical timelines and intersections between them mark great happenings. I've not really heard too much on this specific theory, but who's to say it's right or wrong? The birth of Christ and the 2 world wars are supposed to be signified along these routes, with some experts who advocate this theory said it is also showed a second coming in 1881 and the end of the world in 1953. Other mathematical studies of the Great Pyramid claims it demonstrates knowledge of the true value of pi and was built using the sacred inch. Who knows? Another popular theory is that the latter part of the last century is that the Great Pyramid was constructed by alien visitors, and it's being proposed that these aliens did everything from create mankind to erect the pyramid as a landing beacon for their next visit to Earth. This is something that is possibly one of the most truthful things of the pyramids, for when you see the way they are constructed, when you line up with the stars. I remember when we were there, they've done a fantastic light show, which literally just blows your mind. So if you are ever in doubt whether you should go and visit them, then I strongly suggest you do, but probably not at the moment with all the conflict that's gone on over recent years. There is also another well-known theory that is named the Orion theory, and it was created by Robert Bauval and Adrian Gilbert. They believe that the pyramids at Giza are the earthly representation of the 3 stars in the Orion Nebula. The shafts found in the Great Pyramid are supposed to correlate with the important astronomical features visible at the time of the building's construction. The Orion theory states that ancient Egyptians were direct descendants of alien visitors and retained some of their knowledge. The purpose of these important design features in the tombs was to help point the spirits of the dead back towards the stars from where they came. Many of these ancient astronauts, there are theories suggest the pyramids were built around 10,000 years ago rather than the 5,000 years supported by historians. There are other theories that state that instigating race may not be aliens, but a lost civilization. It is a very high possibility that this is the case. There was a writer called Edgar Cayce who was convinced the pyramids had been built around 10,000 BC by travellers all the way from Atlantis. However, it is certain that the Atlanteans also recorded the second coming of Christ in 1998, and the design of the pyramid is somewhat flawed. Some theories have even suggested that the conception of the chronologically of the pyramids is also wrong. Other people believe the build quality of the pyramids actually deteriorated rather than improved, as the initial knowledge brought by the instigating race was lost over time. Although the Great Pyramid has been explored and studied more than any other ancient structure in Egypt, new discoveries are constantly being made. In 1954, a previously unknown sealed pit was found on the south side that contained a 140-foot long corridor cedar boat, which may have been buried to help the king travel to the afterlife. In recent years, space equipment and remote control probes have also been used to examine the building in ways that had never before been possible. There is, however, NASA's refusal to publish any underground readings taken by the space shuttle, and the Egyptian government's unhelpful attitudes towards deeper exploration has only increased the conspiracy theories and the myths hidden behind its secrets. So, as we discussed, when the Great Pyramid of Giza, which is the largest pyramid in all of Egypt, that was built nearly 5,000 years ago, or 10,000 depending on what theories you believe, and that it is the final supposed resting place of the 4th dynasty pharaoh Khufu, Cheops, who reigned from 2509 to 2483 BC. There are modern Egyptologists who have been excavating and studying it for more than a century now, and it's still, to this day in 2021, full of mysteries and things being discovered as time keeps moving forward. The latest discovery, detailed in a new paper in the journal Nature, reveals a hidden void located within the top particle of physics of the pyramid. And this is the first time a new inner structure has been located in the pyramid since the 19th century. The project is called the Scan Pyramids Project, and it is an international endeavour that was launched in 2015 to be a non-invasive scanning technology like laser imaging to understand Egypt's old kingdom's pyramids. The discovery was made using some tomography. It's a technique that sort of generates 3D images from moons. It's a byproduct of cosmic rays that can pass through stone better than similar technology based on X-rays and CT scans. It's used to scan shipping containers for smuggled goods and nuclear reactor cores. So the newly discovered void, which is 100 feet long and bears a structural resemblance to the section directly below it, and the pyramid's grand galley along a 26-foot high inner area of the pyramid that feels like a very big cathedral at the center of a monument. As an engineer and Scan Pyramids co-founder, Mehdi Taoubi said in a press briefing that its size and shape were confirmed by 3 different tomography techniques. They aren't sure what it would have been used for, or why it exists, or even if it's one structure or multiple structures put together. It could be a horizontal structure, or it could have an incline. In short, there's a lot more to learn about it. Over the past few years, the technology that we've created has allowed other researchers to access parts of the Great Pyramid that had never been seen by humans of this day before. They've also been able to send in robots, which were able to explore the tunnels, and this has been done since the 90s, but obviously as technology has improved, it's getting able to go into further and light it up. They've also brought back images of previously unseen areas, and immediately after starting to examine the Great Pyramid with thermal imaging in 2015, other researchers discovered that some of the limestone structure was hotter than other parts, indicating internal air currents moving through hidden chambers. In 2016, the moon imaging indicated that there was at least one previously unknown void near the north face of the pyramid. And other researchers couldn't identify where exactly it was or what it actually looked like. But now it's known as it's just a basic structure, and these results constitute a breakthrough for understanding Khufu's pyramid and its internal structure. So as time moves forward, we will hopefully find more information about such fantastic technology of such old structures like this. So, what do you make of the Great Pyramids of Giza? Please share your comments below and let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If so, you know what to do. Smash the like, subscribe, blah blah blah. Take care and see you all.